let's do a little sound check here. I realize I'm about a minute late getting started. But everyone, if you can hear me all right, just make sure and put something in the comments. Let me know what you're hearing, if the sound levels sound okay. We're looking at a beautiful sunset off of the west-facing camera in East Dubuque right now. And I picked this out because it was a nice sunset, but it's also one of the brand new cameras that we have to talk about. I know, tardy, I know, yes, but we're here now. So, it looks like we are in fact being heard loud and clear. Thanks, guys. So, we're going to start out just taking a little tour of some of the webcams that gotten running here in the last month. It's really been a pretty busy month here at Steel Highway. We're going to go back actually to the landing page for the channel because the first one I want to talk about is Carol. This was installed back in April. This is another one. Oh, look at that. We got an even prettier sunset there too. Carol was one that was fully funded off of people's donations that came in. It was a very successful fundraiser. We have BCP coverage for the ATCS in Carroll, and we have the webcam to go along with it. We're looking at the intermediate signals here, just to the west of the East Carroll control point. And this webcam has been very popular and had lots of nice comments about it since we got it up. But the one that I know that everybody is interested in talking about are the webcams in Dubuque and East Dubuque, because there was a point where during the first day of operation in East Dubuque, we had 90 people watching both East Dubuque and Dubuque at the same time. And that was pretty impressive. I know there's this little spot here on the East Dubuque East camera. Sorry. The East Dubuque East camera has that spot, and I need to get out there and try to clean that a little bit maybe. But basically, this is something that the East Dubuque cameras have just been amazingly popular. And I know that this was the biggest fundraiser that we've done so far. And lots of people contributed. And obviously I'm just thrilled at how popular this has been. So I'm glad that everyone has enjoyed that camera. And now we have the Dubuque cameras going as well. If we go back over here, I don't know if there's any traffic in Dubuque at the moment, but I know this south camera has a pretty nice pictorial kind of view to it. Those trailers, you know, we tried to get the camera up high enough to look over the tops of the trailers. Sometimes it's a little bit of a problem, but it seems like you can still get the engine numbers and can pretty much tell what's going by, even when the trailers are parked there. So this is the south-facing camera at East Dubuque. And then we also have, on the other side, we have the north-facing camera at Dubuque Junction. And this one, of course, is looking at Highway 151, and then this is the 7th Street crossing, East 7th Street crossing, on the Canadian Pacific side of East Dubuque. And so these four cameras, you know, it's been an amazing response, and I want to just thank everybody for all the contributions and the support, and these cameras have been extraordinarily popular. So I'm really happy to hear that everyone is enjoying them. So let's talk a little bit about the audio, because I know that we've had some problems with the audio in some of these places. And I believe that we're working on that with East Dubuque in particular. We're trying to make sure that we get the camera and the audio synced back up. We're actually having a problem with, in East Dubuque, there's some kind of interference going on. And so at night we get a huge amount of interference with the East Dubuque radio, scanner radio. Trying to work out what's going on with that. And I'm hoping, I've got a bandpass filter ordered. I'm hoping to get that installed and get that audio feed going back along with it. But aside from that, that's kind of been the one holdup, I suppose. And then sometime here in June, I'm going to be going out to Duncombe near Fort Dodge and installing ATCS out on the Waterloo sub in the Canadian National as well. So for upcoming projects, the first thing I want to do tonight is I want to announce that we're going to have a GoFundMe for Clinton, Iowa. So I'm going to put this in and sign in. So we're going to be doing a GoFundMe. You're going to see all of my... Oh, it's going to tell me I need to get in. So, well, we're going to switch that off quick. We'll switch to something else. You can go back to watching the Dubuque webcam while I put that on. But basically, at Clinton, we are going to be fundraising for ATCS to cover the Canadian Pacific for sure, because they've apparently started installing a signaling system on the Davenport sub to close that gap between Deer Creek and Nahant. And then we're also going to, if the UP doesn't shut it off before we get to it, we're going to install ATCS to listen to the UP side of the world down there as well. So I am going to drag this over now so that everybody can see it. This is the GoFundMe for ATCS in Clinton. And I'm going to share a link for this and put it right into the comments for this chat. Now, in Clinton, we're going to have two webcams. One is going to be facing north along the Canadian Pacific main line, and the other one is going to be facing south, looking at the drawbridge and kind of the 5th Street area in Clinton as well. And, and then this, if we go to the photo, I believe this photo is from, yeah, here are some of the photos. Yeah, this is a Giles Stipend photo, the one with the CP2274. But then this gives you an idea of what the views are going to be for some of these webcams. The one's going to face north, looking at this street crossing. The other one's going to face south, looking kind of down at the drawbridge. And this is the Canadian Pacific curving around toward 5th Street. And then you can see the Geneva sub over there crossing the Mississippi River. And this is our host, which is the Clinton County Historical Society. They have a building there, and they're expanding into another building. So they don't have internet at the moment, but once they get it reconnected, then we'll be able to put in our equipment. So this is ATCS and a rail cam for Clinton. It's going to be a $1,750 goal, and I am going to put in some money toward donated parts, because we have some radio equipment that was donated by a ham operator here in Cedar Rapids. So I'll be able to put that toward the total. And we need to get more subscriptions so that we can put more magazine money toward this as well. So keep encouraging your friends to go out and subscribe and have everybody check out what we're doing with the with this Clinton ATCS and webcam. Now, I can also tell you we're going to have a webcam which is going to go in. I'm going to go out of this. I'm going to go over to Google Maps. We're looking at the Dubuque area. Just so you know, up here, this is the building along East 7th Street, this 398 East 7th. That's the building where the Dubuque webcams are. And if we go over to East Dubuque, just as an informational thing, this building was Warren Auto Rentals, but it's the back side of the building over here. This is where the Leibold's Garage is, where the East Dubuque camera is hosted. But anyway, moving down further south, we're going to have a Grand Mound webcam as well. This is going to be privately funded, and it's going to be, for those of you who were out last summer, we actually did a Cedar Rapids Railfan event at this building. It's a replica C&W depot here in Grand Mound. You can't see it because Google Maps is about a year out of date, but this is actually the location where it is, Smith Street to the west of this crossing. And we're going to have a webcam there. The gentleman who put the depot in has been kind enough to help us get internet connected to that depot. And we're going to have Grand Mound as a server site, a webcam server site here in the very near future. That's going in this summer. And then the other project, and Grand Mound we're not going to do a fundraiser for. That one is going to be privately funded. After Grand Mound, we have our friend down in Mount Pleasant. And I know you're going to tell me the Mount Pleasant webcam is not in the greatest location. You're right, it's not. We want to have it, I'm going to actually pull that up. We want to have it on the Telegraph pole, which you can see from, oh, I went to the wrong thing here. Here we go. If we go over here and we see Mount Pleasant, here it is. So, well, apparently the sun is blocking out Mount Pleasant tonight. I don't know why that's happening, but that is a very bright light. So I'm going to back it up here a ways. So there's a telegraph pole right over here, and we're working on a plan. I think I have a plan in place that we can get the webcam mounted on the telegraph pole and get internet to it. So again, this is something that sometime here in June, I'm hoping we'll be able to pull off, and then we'll get a much nicer view. For the moment, you know, you're getting this, which is, it's better than nothing, but it's not a great picture by any means. So we're working on improving that. And the other one that I'm currently working on some improvements with, if I go back to West Liberty, the West Liberty depot folks are working with me on a plan. Actually, Clifford McFerrin, right there he is. Clifford McFerrin is my contact with the West Liberty depot, and you can't see it, but right outside of the picture here, there was a row of trees. They've been working on cutting down those trees to make a wider angle for the line of sight looking down the track to the west. This is looking west. Iowa City would be off this direction, and Silvis would be behind us. And then we're working also on a plan to get the webcam mounted outside of the building so that it doesn't have to look at this pole, but it can look past the pole and down the tracks to the west. So this is something else that we're working on in West Liberty. So I wanted to let everybody know we have a plan for it. It just hasn't been executed yet. Ground Mound. That sounds like a restaurant. Ground Mound. It's Grand Mound. Yes. So that's kind of an overview of the things that are going on currently in this area. We have the Clinton GoFundMe, which I'm going to send out in an email blast to everybody. And we also have the upgrades and changes that we're working on in a couple different areas to try to make improvements to the existing webcams as well and get the radio feeds going where they're not already. And one thing that I do want... Oh, and then, well, we upgraded Bell Plane. I do think this Bell Plane upgrade has made a huge difference. This is probably the best example of how much better the picture looks from the old style of webcams that I used to use to the new style that are out there now. So this has really been pretty nice to have this much clearer view. And we'll actually back up a little ways to daylight. And, oh, yep, the radio's talking now too over me. So, yes, this is probably the best example of the difference between the way the old webcams looked and now the way the new ones do here in Belle Plaine. The next thing I want to talk about is the 24-hour event in East Dubuque. Now, I realize that this is the same weekend as Galesburg Railroad Days, and I know that it's the same weekend that some of you are going out to Malcolm to chase the Iowa Interstate, but I really think that my event was out here first, and so everybody should come to East Dubuque instead. But that's just my personal opinion. However, I do plan on backing this up and making people... giving you a reason to show up. So let me first bring up the East Dubuque sign-up genius, because that is, we're going to log in, yes, log in. Longest day of the year, rail fanning. It's not actually the longest day of the year. But as you can see, we have lots of spots that we still need filled. And if people want to sign up, we're about 3 weeks out from this right now. If more people want to sign up, I will create more spots. But we especially need some people signed up in that overnight time period. And if you sign up for a shift in East Dubuque, I am going to have something as an incentive. I'm going to switch this over here. We're going to switch this over to... me. And now you see my ugly mug, but you also see this Steel Highway ball cap. SteelHighway.com. We're going to put it over here in front, and you see it's got the website on it, steel-highway.com. So these ball caps are currently only available if you sign up for a shift and show up at East Dubuque. Because these are not yet for sale. They will probably be for sale later in the year, but if you want to get one now, the surest way is going to be to show up in East Dubuque. Yeah, you could do East Dubuque and Malcolm. You could do one day at Malcolm and one day at East Dubuque. Absolutely. That's a great idea, Giles. Just so you know, Giles, I highlighted your photo of Clinton a little while back. So, anyway, anybody that signs up for a shift at East Dubuque, you get one of these fantastic hats that I just showed. You can rewind. I may make them for sale later in the year. I don't know yet. But for sure, you can get one if you show up and volunteer for a shift. That is June 24th and 25th in East Dubuque. Now, the other thing I can tell you is that I am working on a plan for Steel Highway camera straps. And this was an idea that I got when I was running around up in Dubuque with Evan Weber a couple weeks ago, I guess. And we were debating different things that we could potentially do with merchandising. And one of the things we came up with was camera straps. So I'm curious, we've got 27 people online right now. Let's just take a show of hands. How many people would be interested in a Steel Highway camera strap if it was embroidered, if it's something that you would be interested in purchasing? Do we have anybody here that would be interested in that kind of a purchase? So put something in the comments and let me know if that's something that you would think would be a reasonable idea. Let's see what our sunset looks like in Carroll right now. I'm not even sure. We can there's Carroll. Here we go. Oh yes, look at that. Beautiful sunset. Double high greens. That is a fantastic. Is it because he has my camera strap? Huh. I don't know. You'd have to ask Mr. Weber. I really don't know the answer to that. That would be something that I don't see him online here, but maybe he can comment and let us know. So that's something I'm looking at doing later in the year. Otherwise, I think that the last thing that I have to talk about would be as of recently, my camera bag could use a new strap. Yeah, the strap could go on a bag and it could go on a camera as well. It can work for both. That's right. So the strap could also work for portable radios. Absolutely, Ken. You guys are coming up with all kinds of ideas. So I think we're probably going to go ahead with the Steel Highway camera straps. Hopefully that's something I can make available for sale later in the year. So the next thing I want to talk about is Sedalia, Missouri. We have a webcam that's going to be going into Sedalia, Missouri. It's probably going to be going in August. And, we have the cameras in East Dubuque now, so we've expanded a little bit outside of the state of Iowa. But this is going to be a more of a stretch, is to go down to Sedalia and get this is going to be on the former Mopac, current Union Pacific Sedalia sub between Kansas City and St. Louis. So that's something that is also a future project that's coming up that I forgot to mention earlier in the program. So I am going to go and the Sign Up Genius, I will be creating something, to share this, and I will probably share it we'll share that in the comments, and I have to go over here to settings, and then, nope, that's not right. Well, I'm not going to mess around with it right now. But I will be sending that out, the Sign Up Genius for East Dubuque. I'll be sending that out in an email also. So make sure and sign up for East Dubuque. Make sure and tell your friends about Steel Highway. And what I'm going to close here on tonight is going to be the final part of the program. We're going to talk about the next issue, which is going to be passenger equipment. So I've had a lot of questions about this. So any sort of passenger equipment is going to be fair game. The great example is going to be this Canadian Pacific office car special that's going to apparently run from Calgary all the way down to Laredo, Texas next week. It's office cars, but it's passenger equipment. And if someone wants to take a bunch of photos of that and send it to me, that'd be great. Steam passenger equipment is fair game. More modern passenger equipment, obviously. Heavyweights, the streamlined museum cars. All of this is perfectly fair game for photos. If you want to send any of that along, basically any sort of equipment that carries people in it. And, a caboose is probably a little bit of a stretch. Oh, yeah, it should be in St. Paul right now. Yes, we're talking about this office car special for the CP again. we should be able to see it going by Dubuque and Muscatine when that happens. Oh, I should mention also, the Washington webcam is offline. The depot in Washington was actually sold today, and it changed ownership. The new owners need to be, they need to turn on the internet, which I've talked to them. I know that they're going to. But we need to hook up the internet so we can get that Washington webcam back up. And hopefully it will be back online in the next day or two. But that's why Washington is offline at the moment. So anyway, Steel Highway issue, which is going to be number 4, and that's coming out in this coming fall. It's going to be August 1st print date, and we are going to be looking for any kind of passenger equipment that you would like to include. That is literally any kind of passenger equipment is going to be fair game. So I'm going to open it up. If the CP doesn't clean up that derailment tomorrow, it might get detoured. Ooh. Detour down the BNSF on the Aurora sub? That would be interesting. And Sedalia, westbound only with exceptions of Amtrak and local reroutes. Yes, that's correct. That's why we're going to have an east-facing webcam. And we are going to... We'll go over here to Muscatine. Oh, that one. Yeah, looks like it might be a little bit foggy in Muscatine tonight. So we're going to go instead over to... We'll look at... where are we at here? East Dubuque. Can't go wrong in East Dubuque. So, yes, we have basically all the way up until July 1st, I'm looking for photos, passenger photos, and then I'm going to start putting the next issue of the magazine together. And I guess to wrap it up here, I'll just open it up to any questions that people have. I do not know what's happening in Macomb. I'm not familiar with that. And detour would go over to Bensonville and back around. Well, that would be quite the detour, but it would at least be in-house, I suppose. So, any questions? You have questions about the next issue of the magazine. You have questions about webcam locations. One that I did not talk about, but I actually just confirmed, is there's going to be a webcam in Grinnell. I do not know when I'm going to have it active, but I've talked to the owners of the Railway Express building in Grinnell, and sometime here in the upcoming months, we'll have a webcam that'll be looking at the... we'll be having a webcam that'll be looking at the diamond where the former Emmons St. L, now UP, crosses the former Rock Island, which is now the Iowa Interstate, in Grinnell. So, what do we have for questions here tonight? Anybody that wants to ask anything? Anybody got any brilliant ideas that they'd like to share with me? I know that this is... I probably won't do another one of these programs until August, because with July and August being... July and August just being very busy and trying to get the new issue of the magazine out. No, I have not gotten an answer on that. I left a message with him and I have not gotten an answer back from that restaurant owner in Michigan, so may have to follow up on that sometime here soon. So, any other questions that we have tonight? I'm happy to sit here and answer and talk to you guys as long as you want to grill me over what's going on. This is open session, I suppose. Anderson KCS location that I sent. Yes. I keep losing track of how often the UP runs on the Oskaloosa sub. I think it's just a one train a day operation. I think they run a local from Marshalltown down to Oskaloosa and back, and then they run another local from Oskaloosa down to Eddyville and back. I'm pretty sure that's the whole operation. And it might not even be 7 days a week. It might only be 5 or 6 days a week. But that is something where the trains are often difficult to find. You know, I've tried chasing that before, and if you don't catch them leaving Oskaloosa or leaving Marshalltown, it's a really tough chase to get out into the cornfields and find them. And apparently there's going to be something going by the Muscatine webcam fairly soon. I'm going to, on my other monitor, check out my ATCS and see what is going on. Well, there's a train at Ipsco, and he is lined up at Hines and Fruitland to go south. And there's also a train at Sebula Junction lined around the connection to head east. So, several radio feeds on the IAS. Is it possible to get them to run on the same radio stream? Seems like there's a lot. There used to be a feed that covered. Yes. So there was a feed that was based out of Belle Plaine. That guy moved. He actually donated. It was a different donation, but he donated most of his equipment to me. And I have his radios, I have his antennas, I have a bunch of coax. So the feed that's in Belle Plaine now does cover a lot of the same area. It doesn't have as much elevation as the old feed location did, but it's up on the roof of the museum there in Belle Plaine, right next to the webcam. And we can get a lot of the Iowa Interstate off of it, and we get obviously quite a bit of the Union Pacific off of it as well. And then we have the feed in Cedar Rapids that covers the Krandick, the Iowa Interstate, the Iowa Northern, and all that out of Cedar Rapids. So yes, that's the old Belle Plaine radio feed, and we're trying to replicate that with the new one. It's actually called the, I believe, Benton County Railroad feed now. If you look on Broadcastify, it is there. So, South Bend, Indiana would be a great place. Yeah, there's a spot there where there's some joint running through South Bend, Indiana, but I don't know if there's anywhere to put a webcam where the joint track is, where I believe it's the CN and NS run through, cross over each other, and yeah, it would be a nice place for sure. So, all right, do we have any other questions from the crowd tonight? Anybody else that wants to ask about anything that's going on? Otherwise, it's going to be about time to sign off here tonight. We'll leave this up a little bit longer and just see if there's anybody interested. I do not see any other questions or comments coming in. We got cars going across the crossing here at East Dubuque. I did have somebody point out to me, those gates at East Dubuque, apparently they just kind of go up and down randomly even when there's no trains nearby. So that was kind of interesting to know. Otherwise, all right, I don't see any questions, so I'm going to go ahead and shut the feed down. Thank you, everybody, for checking in tonight. And please make sure and send people to the website, steel-highway.com, and make sure that they know to subscribe or order a magazine and check it out. And I will talk to you guys later.